I need feedback because it's very hard to get really clear feedback off of YouTube. Um, I don't know. I've just been thinking a lot the last weeks, and I would say that there's still a lot of suffering and a lot of really it's been a lot of big open questions I've been grappling with, like death and love and who am I and stuff like that. So that's been a little weird. Partly because it's like there's part of it where it's like it's a conceptual thing, like death, but it also feels kind of worthwhile to explore. So I'm not really sure about that.
Yeah.
There's like a like I should or shouldn't I be doing it sort of thing.
Well, let's not be politically correct. It's much better to be authentic than correct.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So the interesting thing is that you know what's required. Shitty way to put it, I guess, but you know what you need to know. You don't need to know anything new. You need to apply what you already know.
Okay.
Now,
I'll let you know one thing is I've been like mega seeking
sure.
recently, and it's not even clear. It's not even clear that I'm like seeking anything, like seeking happiness or seeking freedom from suffering. It's just like seeking behavior, like reading a lot and putting a lot of energy into like breathing or just focusing on moo, like a ton of that.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. So here's the thing, what comes up. Seeking suggests that you're looking for something, right? What if instead of you, what if the actuality is that instead of you looking for something, you're looking to avoid something?
could be.
So it's come from behind.
Here's one that came up recently is I kind of started to wonder what if part of me like really doesn't want to stop suffering? Like
Yeah.
I was doing a lot of inquiry and I was like, I don't there was a moment where I was like, I don't really want to look or some of the identity questions didn't really interest me, but in kind of like a willingness queasy way rather than like oh, this is boring. Like I'm not feeling spiritual at the moment. Like a because, and the reason I maybe mentioned it is because at one point I was like, I want to stop suffering. Like that was fundamentally why I started spirituality. It was like, I want to be less lonely. I want to stop suffering. So this is very different than that. But
Hmm. Did you ever get into Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
no, but I recently saw it at a bookstore, and after I remember you'd said something about it.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, it was weird in a lot of ways, but anyway, there was this whale falling out of the sky towards certain doom when it hit the earth, and it's as it's falling, it's going, "Who am I? What is my purpose in life?"
Yeah,
And you just triggered that for me.
yeah.
Yeah, and it must be 20 years since I've had anything to do with that. Yeah, anyway, yeah. So what if it's not suffering? avoidance of suffering. I mean, that's a good one because it's really socially acceptable, isn't it? I want to avoid suffering. Nobody could dispute that one.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I agree with you. I can also just say, like, suffering sucks. Like,
It's
for
con-
example, tonight was so uncomfortable, and I was like, I hate this. I was with my friends, and I was just like, I can't.
yeah, yeah. So as we've mentioned a few times, and it's worth reiterating a little bit, that it's quite feasible and it is the way I see it that we can hold two quite contradictory views at the same time. Right? So we can hate and love, as an example, at the same time. The same, if we direct that towards a person, we can we that that's feasible. It's feasible for you to suffer and yet be getting something out of it.
Hmm. That seems, yeah.
I mean, it even almost seems a good logical one, doesn't it? That if something happens, there must be some gain in it for it to be happening somewhere. So even if it's shitty stuff, what could possibly be the gain out of suffering?
I don't know.
Ask a hypochondriac.
Say what?
Ask a
Uh,
hypochondriac what would be the gain out of suffering.
Suffering, yeah.
Now, I'm not saying there is a gain for you, but I'm saying it's worth looking at all angles, isn't it? So what if you're doing this simply because you're doing this?
Yeah.
Why did you giggle with that one? That kind of got stopped the mind for an instant, did it?
Um, no, I wouldn't say the second part, but it made me reflect that there are some moments recently where it feels like I'm going through the motions, but not in the way that people are like, oh, I hate my life, I'm just going through the motions.
Yeah.
It's like you're just going. Uh, it's not so bad all the time for sure. Um, just thinking a lot. There's
Yeah. So that I had a conversation this morning with somebody and they pulled me up on that phrase where I keep saying it's not about the thing itself, it's about your relationship to it.
mhm.
Right. So it's not about that you have lots of thoughts. It's definitely not about what those thoughts are about, but it's about how you we couldn't come up with an alternative to that phrase, but I come up with a couple of others. One of them was, how serious do you take it? How serious do you take your thoughts? That's probably a good pointer, at least.
I would say not so seriously.
Right, good. So that would you presume then that any response to a thought, or a bunch of thoughts, any response is also going to be held lightly.
See, that's maybe the one thing is it's like the responses to thoughts are still full blast, full uncomfortable, right? Like, or that's my experience of it.
Right. So,
Like I
so
can
that
picture
would
the
suggest,
blast of anger or
yeah. So that would suggest you do take them seriously, but you said you don't. Now,
yeah, I
I'm
mean,
interested in the seeming contradiction in that.
it's what's often changed is I can just let it pass much more easily.
Sometimes,
or
all the time, sometimes.
most of the time, or it's like I can whatever it is, I can often just drop more into the body, and then I just forget about the content, but the body takes me somewhere.
Mm. So has that felt productive for you?
Yeah, I think so. Here was maybe the one other thing I wanted to ask you about. I've been exploring active imagination, like intentionally playing with thinking like an identity, uh,
Yeah,
writing stories, so to speak.
yeah.
Yeah, thoughts on
Good.
that? Because, like, for example, I notice you use like "it's my imagination" a lot. Like you use that phrase, for example.
Mm.
Whereas that's not something that most people say all the time. So that to me implies you play with it a little bit, or like,
Yeah, yeah. I wonder why people don't. Yeah, because it's great. It's yeah. I love my imagination. Yeah.
yeah, it's super useful. I kind of wonder if it's the way out of suffering. I sometimes feel like this is really good, but it's kind of a high, and then eventually it's
Yeah, it can be that. Yeah, sure. Look, yeah. Do you remember the story of me and my polyps?
vaguely like they
Yeah.
just kind of disappeared,
Yeah,
if
so
I recall.
very quickly, it was at the end of 5 months of chemotherapy after having half my bowel removed because of bowel cancer, right? And they did a colonoscopy and they found my bowel was the remaining bowel was riddled with polyps, and they wanted to take it all out. And I responded because I'd already stood my ground and said I'm not going to do the 6 months of chemotherapy if it's only for 1% improvement. Anyway, so I I dug my heels in already, and so when they said they wanted to take the rest of my bowel out, I said no. I said give me 6 weeks and we'll do another colonoscopy and see what happens, and maybe that'll give me time to think about it. Anyway, so they booked me in for 10 weeks, and I went off to an ashram and I did self meditation where I imagined these tiny little team of workers in high vis vests and hard hats running around with a high pressure hose inside my bowel, cleaning it off I did that probably 4 times a day for about half an hour each time, maybe longer. And then I did yoga and I did drinking salt water and vomiting it back up and passing it all the way through and various things like that. So I did this for about 4 weeks. And then I went home and I just continued to do the self hypnosis. And when they did the next colonoscopy, the doctor said, "Oh, we must have made a mistake. I can't find any polyps." Right. So there's a good use of active imagination. Now I say that with pseudo arrogance, okay, because that sounds fantastic, doesn't it? Do you think I can shift 4 kilos off my gut? I have been trying and trying and trying, and I can't do it. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I get that.
so much for the active imagination. Now
Yep.
who knows what went on? It worked once, it didn't work again. Am I doing it wrong? It could be anything. I could come up with any story. But you know what? The whole thing, it just doesn't matter. So if active imagination, if the impulse to do that turns up, great. I see it as a positive and potentially very healthy thing to do. But if it doesn't,
Okay.
that doesn't matter.
Okay. Here's the last thing, if that's okay.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you. So I did a challenge kind of in the active imagination realm where I was like, as a challenge, I'm going to stick strictly with what I know for the next hour. So I'm only gonna do things that I know for sure 100%, right? And I kind of thought there's not going to be anything at the bottom of this. I'm not going to, everything will be, I'll be able to find some assumption. But what I found was there is a very strong feeling of knowing, I guess, subjectivity. Like the first thing to stick was a thought that said, this sucks. And I was like, I could think of all the ways that suckiness is not a totally accurate description, but it was like, no, that did that was what I knew was that this experience was unpleasant. Uh, so I'm not really sure. Like I feel like, and then ever since that, there's been a lot of kind of rebuilding of structure and identity, but in a much more like active, conscious way. So it was weird. Like I really thought that I wouldn't know anything at the end of all that, but like
Mm,
I feel like there's an unavoidable sort of knowing of experience at the very least.
absolutely. Yeah. You're not going to forget
Yeah.
anything for the purpose of not knowing it. You're not going to forget a thing. You'll still remember all the old stuff. Of course you will. But as you don't practice them, they'll start to drop out and become, well, for me, it's like part of a comic strip past. You know, it doesn't have much reality to it, but I do recognize that it was there. So a lot of memories will end up like that. And a lot of them will just go completely simply because you don't require them anymore. They're of no use to you. Uh, But you're not going to forget anything because of this process, right? And you don't really even forget. You think you've forgotten, but it can get triggered easily. You know, stuff you learned as a kid's still there. It can pop up in an instant, given the right circumstances.
Hmm. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you, Vince.
Thank you, Jack.
Tempted to
Well,
say I love you and I appreciate you.
yeah, thank you. Yeah. So if the one thing that if I could give it to you in a pill, I would offer it straight away, and that is that that not minding whatever turns up can be a primary perspective.
Yeah. I feel like I have gotten the first word was forced. Then I'm like, it's kind of been nice, so it's not so. I'm not going to say not forced, but I've gotten forced into that, so to speak, a little bit. There's. It's like, what other choice do I have? You get dragged or you go with it a little bit. Like,
Yeah, yeah. Well, that was very much the way it was for me. You know, that realization that it's pointless. Anything else is insanity. You know, what is there to
yeah,
do but simply accept? Well, and of course we say, what is there to do but accept? But in our daily life, we're not going, I accept, I accept, I accept, I accept.
no,
It's just there, and there's no
yeah.
resistance to it. I mean, yeah,
You
well, that's probably not a
and then
good explanation. Here, little resistances do pop up, but they're just like a stone in the shoe, you know, like you kind of you can keep walking on it or you can stop and take it out. You know, that it's your
an
choice.
example I keep coming back to is it's like when you're trying to sleep in the morning and the sun's shining through the window and eventually you just have to be like, okay, it's bright in the room. And it's like
Yeah,
you can't fight off the sun, it's just like whatever, I guess it's bright now and that's it. Uh,
And isn't it interesting? You accept the sun rather than get up and shut the blinds and go back to bed.
Yep.
So
Yep.
yeah, it's a tricky one because you got all these both things happening at once. Yeah,
Yeah.
nothing's simplistic. Everything is so incredibly complex. It's a blowout. Yeah, it's a real
Yeah.
mind bubble. Mm.
Okay. Okay.
And I
Thank you.
love that. I love that concept of, and I say it as seriously, that concept of knowing. If we forget about that as having any reality as a concrete noun, knowing, but it is an experience we have, isn't it? There is an experience we have that we would describe as knowing, and it's a really interesting experience if you dive into it in any detail. You can see that the physical response to knowing is really beautiful, complex something. And that's without
Okay.
even going to the point of saying, well, I know that I know. It's just the experience of knowing.
Okay.
Hmm.
I'll play with that. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. Mhm. And just as a matter of interest, or call it serendipitous or something if you like, but I'm halfway through doing a story and a song on love right now. Uh, and what a subject. It's amazing.
The one time I felt like a koan had well and truly resolved, at least temporarily, was for love for me,
Mm,
or in a moment of love.
yeah. Hi, Pam.
Hey,
Hi.
um, yeah, I'm glad I just got a little nudge about waking up and checking the meeting. Um, because I do have something I'd like to bring up.
Yeah.
Just had an experience several hours ago of this whole notion that I've been very comfortable believing that um I am this person, and um that it was all this big farce, and um that in reality that that there's this whole thing going on, this whole life happening that I don't have any control over, that I'm just basically like a flea on a dog, just kind of bearing witness to. And for the first time, there was a lot of kind of anger about that. It's like, wait a minute, how can I be so stupid as to believe that that's really true? Um, and then, just kind of for a good little period of time there, experiencing some emotions and thoughts that I had never experienced before that appeared to be true for me, but appeared to be real. It's like I could see that there had been a conversation and interaction going on with a neighbor of mine, and that I really was not the one having that it wasn't me. And um, but I think just my reaction to it was, I'm just curious, is that a fairly common thing that people that you kind of, because then everything just became, it wasn't like this big revelation. It was just kind of like, oh my gosh.
Hmm. Well, I don't.
And
I have no idea about how common that is. I don't hear many people talk about it in the way you have.
me neither. I think that's what caught my attention. It's
Yeah.
like,
So let me
yeah,
hear if I'm hearing you correctly. What? Let me paraphrase it, and you just tell me if I'm missing something or whatever. But I'm hearing you say that you're seeing events unfolding that include yourself, and that you see quite clearly that there is no person in there running the show. There is no external. There just seems to be a series of happenings going on, and that your reaction to that is anger about. I didn't get what was it? What's the anger about? Your reaction was anger.
about, I think it was like, you must be so stupid to believe that.
To believe what?
It's like, it's like this thought was that that's just a pass on everything. That just gives you a pass that you're not responsible for uh, what you say or do, or how you act, or how interactions are played out, or if someone's feelings get hurt, or or
Mm.
or my
Okay.
feelings.
Yeah. Now it's
Yeah,
taking shape. Yeah.
yeah. But I'd never heard anybody say that before, that a reaction, because to me I thought, well, that's going to be really comfortable. I mean, I've had experiences like that where I've been going through that, where I just know that it's just me kind of that it's just an awareness. See, if I try to talk about it, it just doesn't make sense. But I remember sitting there thinking, because this was like, oh, I don't know, like I know we're totally different times, but this was like about 10:30, 10:45 at night, and um, just watching a movie, but realizing that I was replaying a conversation in my head that I had with a neighbor of mine, and then realizing that I was there was a little bit of a judgment and criticism about like what I was thinking or what I was saying or doing, and why was I doing it that way, and why. But watching it and then thinking, well, it kind of getting, actually accepting that wasn't, that's just the thoughts and things that were going on. And that's just what this character, this personality was saying or doing or thinking. But that's just what happened. It's just happening. It's not like I'm doing anything or, responsible. But then it just started seeming like a big cop out. Like,
Ah, no, yeah, no, I get that one. Yeah, now that is sounding more familiar. This is just hmm, a place on the journey. This is just a stopping point for you at the moment. It's not where it'll end up, right? You would frequently see the term nihilism or nihilism when we get to this point, But what it simply points out to me is that the ramifications of that stuff are still working their way through. So you might say you're not responsible, and responsibility is a fantasy that society made up and put rules to. However, there is a reality to that as well. And one of the realities that pulls you up very short is you may not be responsible, but you've got to live with the consequences.
yeah,
And that's there's no escaping that one. That's just the way it is. And those consequences will become some of the conditions involved in the next chapter, so to speak. That
yeah,
that that you see that meaning is socially made up and therefore there is no meaning, that's not quite uh, uh, that's not quite good enough, right? To say there is no meaning, what we're really saying is that the made up meaning is just a made up thing, and that sits where it does in society. So people will go out and kill over their ideas about what's right and wrong, and they're only their ideas. They're not nothing real, but the consequences are real. Their action is real. All of that is real. So though there isn't a made up meaning that that can be said to exist, it is just made up. There is a discovery for you that there is indeed incredible meaning in everything, but that meaning can't be put into words. And that's like saying, I know I'm struggling here. It's like saying, well, if it exists, it is. There's a logic you can't deny in that. It is because it exists. It exists because it is, It just is. There it is. That's it. And that's it. Its own proof is in itself that it exists. Well, this is the same as saying that in a way, and that is that the meaning in everything, which is really deep and profound, is that it exists, is that it is. So there's no meaning attached to it or added to it on the outside. The meaning is inherent in. Yeah, I get that's pretty woo-wooish, isn't it? Yeah,
Well, I think that's the reason, that it caught my attention so much is that it's like, wait, I, I mean, it just led to a lot of other things for a minute or two or 30 minutes or so, but
yeah,
where, it became really clear about, I think, and I could kind of go, well, it's the mind trying to make sense out of it. It's the mind trying to whatever. I mean, I could see all that and I could be with it. It was okay, but it was just I could see, the I guess the reasoning, like the conditioning for the most part. I could see the conditioning of um this is pretty clear. It, I think what's been coming, because this has sort of been waving in and out for days now, and where a lot of the time I'm just kind of open, just kind of there and open, and just sort of sitting and watching everything, and not, and even going places, and it's like it just has everything has a little bit of a different feel to it. Not bad. It's extremely comfortable, so I've been pretty cool with it
mm,
until that particular experience, and then that one
yeah,
really really kind of cut pretty deep.
yeah, yeah. See, you see, yeah. I mean, I, I acknowledge, I get that it did cut deep. It did. There was a pretty strong reaction to that.
Yeah,
And it's like that kind of thing happens when our anchors start dragging, or they stop being a solid grounding for us, kind of thing. And a lot of that's got to do with familiarity. This is new
yeah,
stuff, right? And you dove into the deep end of the pool, right? So you're well and truly in it, big time, but it's pretty new. You're not familiar with it yet. So of course, the old stuff, it keeps getting triggered. And the old stuff is we've got to see it from a point of view of achievement, from a point of view of success or failure. All of those stories that we now know are just stories, post-it notes on reality. We know about that, but they still have an effect on us until they don't. And so doubt usually turns up. And when we say doubt, people say,
yeah.
I've got doubt. Well, then we look at what is it doubt about the existence of a self? They usually say, no, no, there's no doubt about that. Is it doubt about you being awake? Yes, it's that. So there's this really interesting place we get to with being awake. At least this is my experience, that we wake up enough to realize that waking up is a load of bullshit. There's no such thing,
Well, I think that's probably um, close to it, because what's been arising, like I said, this has been like for days now, kind of waving, just like waves of more time actually in that state, if you want to call it that, or that place. But Um, but also a realization that um, it kind of appears that possibly that I've been in and out of this for decades,
Yeah, not
and
surprised at all.
and that and that some of them I've had some experiences, and I've been going through this for decades, but I think because I had no language for it, or I didn't listen to other people talking about this. I mean, for me, this whole thing about waking up or whatever, enlightenment or anything like that, was just something that was far-fetched that the Buddhist did, or a Buddha did, or
Yeah.
but that was never anything. So for this, it was kind of like I, and I suppose there's a certain amount of compassion. There's there's some realizations and some things that have been experienced that for decades, that of course if I tried to talk to people about it, I got put in this particular peg where like this is the
Yeah.
thing that I spit into, that I was mentally ill or something, or that some of
Yeah.
the, I mean, we can just say weird lightly, but it was more than that. I mean, it's
Oh yeah, for
really.
sure. Yeah, could have got you put away once. Yeah.
Oh, yes, yes. And in my particular case, that, it came pretty close to that on many occasions, but it's just kind of mostly just people, with their thing about, well, that's just how Pam is. But
Thank God for that. Yeah.
well, but there was never any concession for that, and amongst any of my interactions. So I think that's the reason. Um, I still feel I was listening to something that I was listening to one of your recordings, I think, recently, and I was listening to how you talked about it didn't really change your life on the outside. I mean, like you were still, even though, because I was listening to you talk about how you'd been searching. I didn't really even recognize or think too much about a seeker. Even when I would do meditation retreats and stuff, I would see what they would talk about as the seeker, but I never really thought that. But really, that the entire lifetime for decades for me has been trying to find what was missing. That there's something, I just knew that everything around me was wrong. This is just not right. And
Yeah.
I think one of the beliefs that actually popped up last night when I was going through this is that something in me very strongly believes that everything was supposed to be my way, the way that I wanted it to be. And that, I feel like I want to apologize for even bringing up this topic, but it's something that I lived with. And decades ago, I came in touch with feelings about it when I was young, like 7, 8 years old. Um, and my dad was military. We lived in Germany. Well, one of the places that we were taken to as kids as I guess a tourist thing, was a concentration camp. And what I'd come to realize and I mean, everything was very vivid when you go there. I mean, pictures and the tours telling you what's happening and that sort of stuff. And I remembered, okay, and I feel like I just want to apologize because it's such a
No,
horrible
they did.
thing
Yeah.
to experience. But this, as an 8-year-old child, I was actually aware of the horror of what had been experienced there. And I think
Yeah.
that's just been something that stayed with me throughout, and people just don't understand how that could affect a child. But then
Absolutely.
I guess I'm questioning and wondering, like, even as a child, I was already that awake. Sometimes I've heard people when they talk and they have such a moment of, well, you were actually talking in this thing that I was listening to about, um, and had a very emotional reaction to seeing a pothole and how it looked like a beautiful, something really beautiful, and you could describe it with such emotion. And I remembered thinking, I have felt like that so many times. So, and just, have people look at me like I'm completely off the wall rocker. And it's like, that's just been my tagline basically for decades now is, well, that's just how Pam is. That's how
Yeah,
she is. But what's, I think, the trigger for me, and, you know, it was watching my 20-year-old granddaughter and being so close to her as she goes through basically some of the same things that I went through. But for me, and in my decades, in those decades, it wasn't compassion and understanding. And I mean, it
yeah,
was, trying to put me on medication and
yeah,
basically saying that I'm not a very balanced person, I'm not responsible or whatever, all kinds of things that, just kind of touching into that. There's a lot of depth because I just watched a movie on TV uh, yesterday or the other about Nuremberg, and it kind of went back through all that stuff, and I was just kind of reliving all of that stuff, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I could just feel the depths of that. But so many things like that, I've just been so used to
yeah.
covering
It's
up,
normal. Yeah,
pushing aside, or not bringing up because it's a taboo subject and people don't, or so how horrible it can be. But I just and probably a big fear about it, but also just trying to sit there and realize that was just life happening. But then,
exactly.
trying to make some kind of sense out of it is ridiculous.
Mm.
Um, and then I guess that thoughts or whatever coming up saying, that's just you're just trying to get a pass on
Yeah. Well, here's one. Yeah, very good. Thank you. Yeah. I just want to say, welcome home, Pam.
well, thank you very kindly. It's it's nice to it's like I have to get on meetings with people in other parts of the world just to be able to say this because
Yeah.
like even among people that are any kind of family or friends, because like you were talking about how it didn't change yours. And actually I guess what I'm also was realizing is how much just listening to your talk really was helpful for me last night when I was going through my experience, because it's like, I mean, for me, everything did change over the decades. It's all the relationships that I have had
Mm.
in my life, friends, family, children. Um, all of them have changed. And then trying to go through, navigate that whole thing about, well, what what is it that I bring into this, my expectations and my beliefs, and then what is it that's, because me trying to make everybody else wrong, I guess, because I realized that was a very deep belief. I think that I uncovered is that I, there's such a strong part of me that wants to be right
Mm.
and wants to make everybody else wrong, and it's kind of like, realizing some pretty deep things like that. And just, and then like, well, what do you do with that information? I just don't go in my normal life and realize that and talk about that with people. Except, I can come here and you can say, welcome home. But, you know,
Yeah.
it's just kind of
Well,
weird.
there's one of the things that I'd love to be able to impart to everybody is kind of a toolbox of skills that they can use when things turn up. And when we get triggered is the time to pull out some of those tools. And the really big one I would love to give you is it's never about what appears to be present. It's never about what seems to turn up. It's always about what triggered them. So that's where to look. So whatever turns up, your granddaughter turns up and puts on a whatever some kind of a show that she does, right? Your reaction is not about her. your reaction is about what that triggered in you. Always.
Yeah.
So that just having that as a tool to refocus on is incredibly valuable because the old stuff will keep coming up until it doesn't, until we are finished with it. Then it won't. But usually it's not a linear progression. It'll slow down. And sometimes it stops straight away, but who knows? If it whatever turns up is okay. There cannot be anything wrong ever. It's not possible.
I think that is what got me through the episode last night. I called it episode now. Last night is that remembering some of those tools.
Mm,
So I am grateful and thankful that some of those tools were actually able to show themselves in the midst
yep.
of all the other stuff. Yeah,
And you
and to
can
get through.
celebrate the fact that they did show themselves. So that's stuff that's working. That's good stuff.
Yeah,
Mm.
but it's nice to be able to come and speak it out loud to others and not be
Yeah,
called
yeah. We all
and be
we
told welcome home.
I wear my weird badge very, very proudly. Mm,
Yeah,
mm.
so good stuff.
Thanks, Pam.
Yeah, thank you.
That was a pretty intense emotion you went through, David.
Yeah, yeah, because I mean, the other day I was playing with those headless way techniques, like just looking at this space. And yeah, it came to me, or it was seen that there is really all this space and there is nothing else outside this. There's only this. And so then a story appears and it tells you, no, you are behind this open space and you are looking from this open space, but that story is inside that space. And so there is only that space. And that space is me, is everything. And I am everything. I am that space. And this that wants to come out, this, I don't know, contraction, this is in that space too. But then there is this kind of catch-22 situation in which the story tells, yeah, you need to be brave and stay with this contraction that appears. And so you can get liberation, so you can get fully awakened. The story appears.
Yeah,
And, but that's what I think this contraction is here. So if what the story says I need to do is done and this contraction is fully felt, then it's like I'm following, I'm like accepting that story. It's like I'm
yeah,
doing what the story says. But there is another story that says, no, you need to drop the story and just stay here. But it's the same thing. It's staying with this. We're staying with this everything, and
yeah,
this, and there is no, and I
yeah.
am this. Okay,
I-
I am this. There
yeah,
is nothing outside this.
yeah. You're very, very close to this. Oh, this. Oh, let's just grab a hold of this. Whatever turns up will trick you into thinking that it's something. But what it is the turning up of something. It is the coming into existence of something. no matter what it is, if it's a story, it's this. If it's a story about the story, it's still this. Where it's coming from, who is hearing it, is just part of this. This this is everything. You are not part of everything. You are everything. Everything is you. There is no possibility to break it up into pieces. The connection is too complex, cannot be separated. You and everything that appears to you, every thought, every story, every emotion, every contraction is everything.
Ah, it's a lot. It's a lot to take in.
Yeah. But it's already in. And it's a lot to take in, just turned up. But that's different. That's the story and the reaction to that story, which is different to the lot to take in. The lot to take in is already in. There's nothing to take in. Or if taking in happens, then that is just this. There can't be anything that is not this. Wanting it, not wanting it. It's just this. Same thing. Should do this, should do this. Same thing. Just part of this. And this sometimes gets a reaction. And that reaction becomes the new this.
Yeah, it wants to come out. There is this
Yeah,
this thing that
yeah, yeah.
it's resisting. It doesn't want to
Enjoy it. Enjoy it.
that to blow out.
Give it a hug. That resistance trying to look after you. It's worth love. And the part that wants to come out is trying to look after you, and it's worth love. It's a crazy one, isn't it? This wanting it to come out and not wanting it to come out at the same time.
Yeah.
Mm.
There's something that say no, no, no.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, welcome it. Welcome. No, no, no. Here, no, no, no.
Oh,
Yeah. Go into that feeling beyond words. Leave words behind it. Just be fully in that feeling. Oh, it's exquisitely painful, beautifully horrible. It's whatever it is. It's just so big.
Ooh. This star, this it tries everything, everything. It has everything to stop this. It says, "Yeah, you're making everyone else waste time. You're wasting everyone else's time. You need to stop this. You can't let yourself go like this.
Isn't it?
Everything it has, it throws at
Isn't
me.
it
It throws at
beautiful the
me.
way it tries so hard, so convincing, eh?
Everything it can, everything it
Yeah.
has, it gets thrown. Yeah,
You got to give it an A for creativity. It'll try anything to get you to stop.
it's desperate, desperate to stop this.
So if you go, well, okay, well, just stop. But no, part of you wants the other side. I want to get it out. I want it out. I want it out. No, stop, stop, stop. Yeah, no, out, out, out. No, stop, stop, stop.
You can drop this me story because you've been with that for so long.
Yep.
You love that me story. You love it. You can let it. You can
Yeah.
drop it. Can drop it.
And it's useful, but not all the time. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, but there is only this. There is only this. There is only
Well, we don't have an answer. We don't need an answer. Just be amazed at it.
this.
All of this, wow, it is fucking amazing, isn't it? That it is what it is. How it expresses. It's amazing. We don't need to know what or how or why. Couldn't be bothered with any of that. Just get with the amazement.
It's so much. It's so much.
You know? It almost feels like too much to bear, eh?
Yeah. Yeah.
But how do you know what too
Feels
much?
unbearable. It feels unbearable. It feels
Yeah,
too much. It feels like it's still contrived. There's something
yeah,
that doesn't want it to let come out to come
yeah,
out.
yeah, yeah. But if you say stop, 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 then another part says go, go, go.
Yeah, there's another voice that says, "Yeah, but it's here. It's here. It's there.
Mm,
It's here.
yeah.
It's this. It's this."
And part of the exquisite pain is that it feels close. It is so close.
Yeah, yeah, it's here. It's this. It's this, but there's fear. There's this story. It says you can't let yourself go like that. You can't. You will lose yourself. You will lose this story. You will lose
Yeah. Well, in the old
everything.
days, if you were a Buddhist, they'd say, well, go ahead and lose yourself in your guru. That didn't work out so well for lots of people. Yeah. But so what if you're the guru? What if it's losing yourself to you?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Sorry. Yeah, it's the me that says, yeah, you can't lose yourself to me. You can't lose this me to me.
So maybe you've seen that symbolism of the snake eating its own tail.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God. Oh my God. I'm sorry, there is a lot of reaction in
Yeah,
the body. I can't really
sorry for that.
function in this state.
Yeah, for sure. Make sure you are gentle with yourself when you come down from this, because this is a big shake-up, a realignment.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, sorry for this.
You don't need to be sorry.
Yeah, this. This is everything. This is everything. This is everything. Yeah. This is everything. This.
I kind of like all instead of everything as a
Yeah,
word.
this is all. Everything. Yeah, but this
Yeah. But
everything
everything,
without a story. Everything without the need of a story. And the story is just part of this everything.
mm.
It's not. It's everything.
Everything has inherent duality, doesn't it? Everything.
Yeah,
Whereas,
yeah. It just is. It just is as it is. It just is as it is.
yeah,
Just is as it is. And there is a story, and the story is just as it is itself. And it's not really a story. It's just what it is. It's just what it is. There's, I don't know. There are these thoughts. They just happen. They are just here in this space. They're not outside of this space.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. There is this resistance, and it's in this space too. It's just part of this space. It appears in this space.
Yeah.
It's as true as everything else. It is as real as everything else. It is just as everything else. It's real, but it's not real.
Yeah.
It's like just like everything else.
So you can see that nothing is real and everything is real. Is
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that wants to come out. A lot of stuff that wants to be recognized, seen. A lot of stuff that wants to be free, that wants to move freely, that wants to. Yeah, yeah.
Doesn't all have to be expressed, but just acknowledging acknowledging that it exists, that you don't have to know what it is, acknowledging that it exists removes the shackles. So it is free, even if it doesn't get expressed. It doesn't have to get expressed. It doesn't have to come out to be free.
Yeah, it does everything by itself. It
Yeah.
does. Yeah, it's when even the contraction, when you let it move freely. It's not even a contraction, it's just fear. And so this fear wants to be
Mm.
there too.
Yep, that too.
Because there is resistance to the contraction, there is resistance to the resistance.
And the contraction was already resistance.
But it's also here, it's also what's here, it's also just
Mm.
this. Yeah, it's a lot.
Mm.
Yeah, it's a lot
Just remember to be very gentle with yourself and let things settle down nicely. Mm.
It's also beautiful. It's also very beautiful because it's just everything. It's just so simple. It's just
So profound that it's so simple, eh?
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, this needs to be I don't know, just it doesn't need anything. It needs just this. It just is already. Mm.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, Vince. Thank you so much.
How are you, Tammy?
Hey, Vince.
Okay.
Um, kind of a little bit not great.
Did you say not right?
Not great.
Oh, not great. Okay.
Oh, I'm on my weird headphones. Hold on. Is that better?
That's fine. Yeah.
Um, yeah, I had a week where I was much calmer and outdoors a lot in nature, and now it's getting too hot and um I'm just feeling kind of stuck and my system is it's like something happened and I was like, okay, that's it. I have to find peace now. And I like worked on it really hard for a week and it seemed to work and I had access to a lot more regulation and calm in the system. And now I'm just totally just all of it is piling on in every direction. Like I'm freaking out. Upset. I think I'm pushing myself too hard to go outside to nature anyway when it's hot. Um, I joined a 2-week sleep challenge for free online, and it's making me frantic about like changing my whole life. I have to have regular hours. Um, and I can't, and just everything is rebelling inside, and trying to be positive and have gratitude. I'm like, I have to change this crazy brain. I can't just keep attending these Zooms and hearing my own patterns over and over. I'm sick of hearing them. And yes, I've changed a lot, but not enough. And I'm just so sick of it, but it's not changing. I'm like, I have to force gratitude so I can do it for like 2 hours. And then I get home and start cursing for hours. And I'm like, ah. So it's like, and then I have an option of joining a community orchestra tomorrow, and I'm not sure if to take it. It's across town, it's late at night, it's for hours. I don't know if it'll be good for my body, but maybe I could meet people or not. Anyway, I'm just freaking out on all the different levels simultaneously, and I just don't know what to do anymore.
Mm.
But that doesn't stop my mind from trying to figure out
Yeah,
which path I should take. So,
yeah, if only. Yeah.
and I'm like getting despaired. I'm like, I don't know anyone's mind is as crazy as mine. That's it. Like, it just,
Oh, you'd have some contenders, I think. Yeah. Yeah, there's still a lot of engagement with those stories, eh? What you should do.
yeah, and I think it just snuck up on me because I had that week of so much openness. Everything was just peace and gratitude for the breeze, for the trees, for the birds. I was just glowing. And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden it's like, the system is in full freak out mode. I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah.
So it's
So
not like it even snuck up on me, but
could you acknowledge, if it's true, only if it's true, could you acknowledge that that week of peace, there wasn't a barrage of those stories about what you should do or shouldn't do and how your life is going to pan out and all of that stuff. That wasn't there to the same extent. Or maybe it was that it was there, but you had a different attitude towards it. Which either of those ring a bell for you?
there was some gentle anxiety about, how to spend the day, when to go out, when to do this or that, how much to do, but I kind of kept choosing whatever I chose. I kept choosing peace. And then when I chose more engagement with life, I also kept like regulating, like taking a deep breath rather than getting upset. Like there was maybe a lot of suppression. I don't know if suppression, but like I was constantly having to like outbursts would come up internally, but I would be like, take a deep breath and deal with this beautifully. And I was able to. And it was just really,
Okay,
it was
so
lovely.
am I getting it right then to say that the things turned up, but you weren't immediately lost in them? You weren't immediately trapped by the content of what turned up. You were able to say to yourself, "Okay, now I recognize that this is happening. Take a deep breath."
Right. But also like I think I was frantic for certain reasons of things happening in my life. And I was like, I better fix this now. I have to become okay. And so it was like a heightened state of a bit drama or meaning internally. So there was more focus for my ADHD brain. I don't know, something like this. But also the weather was perfect and there was breeze. There was enough access to regulation that if a gentle thought came up, I was able to, it was handled calmly. It didn't take over. And yeah.
Yeah. So you used the term gentle anxiety before. Like now that was that I I kind of think I get that really. You're talking about a softness to although anxiety was there, it didn't have hard edges. Would that be how you put it? Would that work?
Yeah, in other words, there was the breeze and the softness and whatever. And with that, a little bit of anxiety about, oh, how should I do this or that? It was like a gentle buzzing of it, not
Yeah,
like
not
now
big.
soda can pop opening. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, what do you reckon changed the way changed your response to things?
I think it's a convergence of like three things. Like the weather hit a point where it's no longer okay for my body, and um like the heat levels, like I'm trying to be in denial and be like, no, 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 I can transcend this. I'm gonna be, mature about this, and I'm gonna be whatever. And like heat is nothing, mind over matter. In other words, like I'm kind of trying to be in denial that my system reacts to heat.
Mm.
Um, so yesterday I was out for hours taking all my calls outside, and was just getting worse and worse. My brain was like, my words were getting like jumbled. Like I was just
Mm.
and was horrendously dysregulated for hours. The second thing is, I think it wore off. I think I was in a kind of like heightened state of like, I'm going to fix my life. No matter that this person dropped out of my life, I will be okay. I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to become perfectly, calm, and nothing will move me. And I could do that for about a week until my system's like, expletive, expletive, expletive. I won't say anything here, but yeah, constant curse mode. Which I really only know four curse words, but I just repeat them over and over
Yeah,
again.
you're allowed to say them here if you want. Yeah,
No, it's just, you hear stuff on TV and all of a sudden I'm cursing. But anyway, um,
yeah,
and then so I think that kind of like I was trying to force peace, and that kind of my body's like, no, 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 get me out of this heat and stop telling me to, whatever.
yeah,
And the third thing is, yeah, just added pressure of like this sleep challenge and trying to rehab my life, and the orchestra feels pressureful, and just I don't know. So that's three things. And what was the fourth?
yeah. Hang on,
Yeah.
I, I, I got it wrong. So I asked you what was different that brought about the good experience, and
Oh,
you're telling
I
me
thought
about
why it
what
ended. Yeah.
bad experience. Yeah.
What brought about the good seems to me absolutely dependent on outside matters. I just had lots of conversations with people who were calm and kind and loving, and so that really regulates my system when people are
Right. You don't think they were calm and warm
conversations.
and loving because you were calm and warm and loving. You,
Possible.
yeah, well, there you go. That's a possibility,
And
isn't
the weather and being outside in the forest and the breeze, and just it just
it? Yeah.
all of it somehow was available to me, regulation. And I try all the time, but somehow for a week it was available, and then God took it away and like pulled out the rug and flogged me over the head with it. And I'm like, ah,
Yeah, that loss is a big one, isn't it? When it happens, when it turns up. Yeah. Seems pretty aggressive.
yeah.
So would it be accurate to say that although there were external circumstances that you told us about, that it would be your attitude towards them that really shapes your experience?
That's a little bit tricky. I feel that my attitude is part of what is given to me in the moment. In other words,
Okay, that also
that
is.
is part of it. Yeah. It was my calm brain and body, and the calm forest and the calm people. Like all of it was given like that. And then it was taken away. And I'm like, yeah.
Right, yeah. So if I yeah, try this. I want to reframe it was taken away. If we were to put that, no, I don't want to lose accuracy. I want to be, if we were to be really accurate, we'd say, then it was gone or it wasn't there anymore. But to say it was
Mhm.
taken away just doesn't really make any sense. Who would take it away from you? Who could? God or life?
God, universe, life, whoever
Yeah,
brought it, took
but
it.
not
Whatever brought
not
it, took it.
anybody that you can actually put a finger on. It was gone is accurate, but to say
Yeah.
it was taken away suggests the involvement of entities of some kind.
Although we say gifts are given. In other words, whoever gave me this body and these thoughts
Yes,
and
yeah,
experience took it away. I don't know.
yeah, we talk like that, don't we? Yeah. So the difference between what you appear to believe and what I believe is that I say it's your attitude towards external events that creates your experience. And you say, no, it's the external events themselves that do it.
I think it was the weather of the forest and the weather of the people. Yeah.
Right.
And my
We,
internal weather, which again, I don't seem to have control over. So
well, yeah, yeah. So I'm sure we can agree that the weather itself, what we describe as the weather, there were no intentions there. It didn't think, I'm going to take away Tammy's piece of well-being. But the weather didn't do that, but the weather had that effect on you. Would you agree with that?
I don't know because, there's all these concepts of everything happens for your well-being and for your own awakening and everything happens for a purpose. I don't know why I went into a weird accent, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But you could logically look at this that we call weather, and you can't possibly rationally impute intention to it. Can you?
Um, it depends if you believe that everything happens for a reason and
Okay, so in that reason might be the intention.
th
Mm.
everything is happens for you or for your awakening or there's meaning or reasons for everything. There's that kind of outlook.
Well, I can go along with that one. Let's say everything it offers itself as an opportunity for sure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But of course, it doesn't offer itself. That's a ridiculous way to say it. An opportunity is also another concept, but we might be able to discover something. Would we go as far as to say about ourselves if we can find what the offering is of those circumstances? So, what if the weather is offering you an opportunity? What story can you come up with that would might exemplify that? What opportunity might unpleasant weather offer you?
Well, the first opportunity my mind goes to is, well, you need to transcend this. All the tiny bugs in your face and nose and ears, that's
Okay.
nothing. If you
Yes.
were really a decent or awake person, this would be
Yeah.
nothing. You laugh in the face of tiny
Right.
bugs and heat.
Let's stop. Let's kill that one. What transcend? Transcend. Wow, that's amazing language, isn't it? It's like rise above,
Yeah.
transcend. There's a lot of value judgment in all of that stuff, isn't there? But okay, so what if rather than well, let's look a bit further at what transcend might mean. Well, rise above it. That means resist the effects of it?
Put yourself in a place where you are peace, you are equanimity, you are the sky in which the bugs are rising up your nose. In other words, this kind of
Yeah, yeah,
whatever,
I get it. Yeah.
nothing affects you. It's just mind over matter. Like you barely feel it. Like you're just at peace, and this is like nothing. And
Oh, okay, yeah. So that's a good story. I can quite relate to that one. Yeah. What about or something a bit more close to home for me would be to say, shit, it's uncomfortable. It's too hot or it's too windy or it's too whatever to be comfortable. And then what do I do about it? If it's too cold, I put a coat on. If it's too hot, I might put a hat on or an umbrella if I'm whatever. So then I'm noticing things like if I'm on the golf course, for example, and I notice a different temperature when I'm in the shade or out in the sun, it's really significant to notice that. So if it's really hot out in the sun and I'm spending a lot of time out in the sun, I can put my umbrella up and walk in the shade of the umbrella. But, I'm not even that aware of how hot it is. I'm just aware that that's what's happening. So if somebody comes up and says, geez, it's hot, isn't it? Without a blink of an eye, I would say, yeah. If they said it's uncomfortable, it's that hot, I would say, yeah. But my reaction to the discomfort, and I guess I can only talk within the parameters of my actual experience, so I don't know what it would be like if it was extreme. But most of the time, I would say, well, the day's either very comfortable, or it's better in the shade than in the sun, or the sun is really nice on a cold morning, the warmth of the sun. It's constantly variable, but I'm describing it rather than emoting about it. And it's not that I have to kill the emotion. I am feeling something about it. It's not that I'm not feeling anything. It's just that whatever I'm feeling is whatever I'm feeling. Oh, God, that sounds arrogant, doesn't it? I don't know how to put this into words.
you're not bothered by it. And I
Unpleasantness can
guess
be quite okay.
what can be okay?
Unpleasantness.
Mm-hmm. And I think maybe that's part of what I mean by transcending. It's like to feel okay no matter what. And then on the surface, there's all kinds of things like a little heat, a little this. But when it overtakes me, it's like I just start to scream at myself, what's wrong with you that you can't be calm? Okay, so there's bugs. Okay, so there's heat. Like, what is wrong with you? Calm down. And like,
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, it sounds so obvious when I say this, and I know you know it as well, but yeah, what we've got to look at is what doesn't work. But, what is wrong with you? How can there be anything wrong with you? It's not possible. Everything wrong with you is also right.
I
But at
guess
the
what,
same time, I get what you're saying, that you
Mhm.
feel that there's something wrong. You feel
Why
broken.
am I bothered by life? And why do I take it so hard? That's what's wrong with me. I can't function within the life. There's bugs, there's heat, there's annoyances. Like, why can't I just
Yeah.
be okay and relaxed?
Hmm.
I don't know, maybe it's not even the heat. It just seemed to me that that's what triggered things.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, yeah. If see, there's nothing to change. Things will change, but there's nothing for you to do to change things. Any attempt to do that is futile anyway. But there is. We can only talk about it as if it is the case that what there is you taking a whole lot of your thoughts way too seriously.
Hmm.
And that seems to suggest, okay, well, you've got to stop doing that. Well, you can't stop doing that. If you're doing it, you're doing it. But if you're doing it and you realize you're doing it, that's the opening for change. If you're doing it and you're just lost in it, you're only reinforcing it. It's never going to change. It's only going to get stronger. So how do we make that awareness turn up? You can't demand it. You will be aware when something like that turns up. That doesn't work either. But something does. Somehow you are more aware than you used to be about things when they turn up. How did that come about? Oh, I don't know. You don't know. Nobody knows. It just came about. That's not to say it's a pure mystery. What it is to say is we simply don't know what brought it about. There are a whole lot of things in your life that have happened, and a lot of those will be subconscious. You won't even know about them. There'll be things falling into place when you're washing the dishes or whatever. Who knows? But something has changed. And that awareness gets better and better. And every time you celebrate the fact that it happens, you make it stronger. So that's a good one to. So reframing your language to be more accurate, right? Which means basically get rid of the judgments, get rid of the opinions about it, and just describe what is actual. And that's a good technique. That's one of those tools that are useful.
I think I'm just really scared because last year I went into a flare from June to January, and I'm like, I'll be darned if that's going to happen again, and I need to be at peace now. And then my mind is going crazy,
Mm,
ruminating about what direction to take that in. Should I incorporate more practice into my daily life? I'm not trying hard enough. I need to, you
no,
know,
you're
do I
trying
need to
too hard.
optimize my life externally and, work and friends
Yeah,
and orchestras, or do I need to just double down and do like more meditation in the day or something? And my mind is just going crazy in all the different directions and
yeah,
endlessly unsure if to go outside in the heat or not, if I can overcome it or not. It's just nonstop. It's craziness.
yeah,
And
yeah. I get that. Yeah,
plus all the other smaller things of life that seems like small emergencies, but I'm just saying the
yeah, yeah.
most
They can be
basic
constant
ones
too.
here. Yeah.
Yeah. I get. Look, here's a story that popped up here, and that is that you're desperate to retain control because of the fear of what would happen, what might happen, what you imagine will happen without control. And I don't know whether I was just seeing that or I just interpreted that, but what I saw a moment ago was an expression of that fear of loss of control, that you'll just become inoperable.
I don't know. Maybe that's part of it, like feeling like I need to push, and it just feels like I can't go in any direction. Like I feel I need to push more and maybe find more work or maybe join orchestra, and my body's just like and mind are just rebelling. But can I also ask you a question, Vince?
Sure.
My brother did something called the Finder's course.
Yep.
Um, he didn't realize himself or whatever, but he was telling me about it and he was very excited. And I looked at it and well, this is recorded, so I don't want to say anything. But anyway, I don't know how to, anyway, it didn't, it's not a person I felt I wanted to listen to for some reason, the person that gives the course. But, you
Was that
have to have a
Jeffrey
certain,
Martin himself, or was that one of his?
I think so. And because he gives it, I don't know, for some reason I couldn't really connect or listen. But
Sure.
I
Yeah.
I I read up a little bit about it, and he basically says this shift into fundamental well-being. And I was just wondering, it doesn't sound like the same as a no self shift, but I was
No,
like,
no.
I
He
need to
talks
shift
about.
into fundamental well-being. That sounds good. Like I want to feel well-being all the time, whether there's bugs or not. So um, can you shift into fundamental well-being without having a non-dual shift? It seems like there's all kinds of different shifts. Like,
Yeah,
what
yeah,
do we mean by shifts or awakening? And I'm just a little bit confused about the whole thing and what
yeah.
can I pursue? And also, I'm so tired, Vince, and I want one of the things to happen to me already because I'm sick of hearing my own crazy stories. It's like how many years, you know?
Mm. Well, you might find. I mean, I know about the Finder's course only because I also do some work with POK, the Perfectly OK group, um, and they're pretty big on that thing. And it's how can I put it? It's from I know little about it really, but I've spoken to several people about it, um, and I don't have any negative feelings about it. I think it's incomplete in a way, but at the same time, yes, you can, in the Finder's course, shift into a place of well-being that would not call awake, for sure.
So you can have, they call it like persistence. So you can be persistently feel okay with having no
Yeah,
shift of self-identity, like that there's no doer? Do you believe that's
yeah.
possible?
It's in fact the opposite. It's a kind of a strengthening of identity in a way, but it's fine. It's not a bad way to go. I see it as having good potential. A
The
lot of
question
people
is
go from that
possible.
through to awakening as well, but not all. Not all. A lot of people, and it's a big community. There's probably 3,000 people in that community, the POK group. Yeah,
But it just seems weird because everyone says you can't be always okay, but then they're saying you can be, and I'm just very confused. And I thought you had to have some kind of non-dual or identity shift in order to feel more okay more of the time. So I don't understand all these things. I guess basically yeah.
yeah.
I guess, do you think it's possible? Well, I guess it didn't happen to you that way, but like, is it possible to be persistently okay, like they say all the time, without having any kind of shift of realization or something?
Yeah, I can't really answer that because I didn't do the finder's course and I don't know about that. But I know people that have done it and they talk about it in a way like that. Yes, they can have that, but then a lot of people go on to this stuff out of that. So I don't have any negatives about it because mainly because I just don't know enough about it to say, anything. My initial impression from the people I've spoken to about it is, yeah, it's okay. It's good stuff.
Yeah, my real question isn't about the course because I don't feel drawn to it. My real question is about, do you think it's possible to have a shift and feel fundamentally okay all the time without any kind of realization?
Yeah, well, we're kind of playing with words a little bit here too. So if you
But not really, Vince, because as me, can I just feel okay, or do I need to wake up to feel okay? That's it's you know what I mean? I don't know if it's playing
yeah,
with words.
yeah,
You
no, I kind of get what you're saying, but I'm wanting to say, well, what's the difference? What if you to see to say that you've woken up or that you've had a shift, right? Well, people have hundreds and hundreds of little shifts. There are a lot of realizations that are portals into what we're talking about, and there are a lot of variations. There's no two people having the same experience ever,
hmm
regardless. And at one level, if you say, can you feel having a shift, is you're going to feel okay? Well, you can feel not okay, but you can be okay about that. And I'm not meaning to be funny with an answer like that. What I'm saying is it's literally true that you can feel not okay and be quite okay with it.
hmm
And you can
Kind
just
of like
file
when I
that
had
away for
dental.
when you experience it. But you have indeed already experienced that
hmm
from things you've told me you have
hmm
momentarily. uh, and momentarily is all we've got. And there is an evolution, there is a retraining that goes on, and that changes your experience as well. So the difference between how I am now and how I was when I first woke up, it's a world of difference.
Really?
Not
In what way?
not that I remember very clearly a lot about what when I first woke up. Well, I went through a period of doubt. That was pretty traumatic. There was a couple of months of me doubting, thinking I was a fraud, because I was still getting triggered. Now I still get triggered and I don't care. I don't, I don't, yeah, that's not really how that's how it's not how it sounded is not how it is. But yeah. Um, but yeah, so you have to define your idea of what okay is. And of course then we start to get into personal differences, you know. So that's a tricky one. So what's required for you to feel okay isn't for you to be okay. It's for you to see that the not okay fits in with everything beautifully and there's value in it, and then that's okay. See, so I'm sorry I can't give you a straight answer because there's no such thing. I don't know.
But that place of being okay with not being okay cannot happen without having any kind of non-dual shift.
Oh, well, yes, it can. Yeah, well, see, define non-dual shift, So
Realizing that there's no person or doer, but I don't know. It sounds like maybe there's other shifts. I don't know.
absolutely, absolutely. That's a I would say that's a big furphy, that one. I mean that's put up by, say, Liberation Unleashed as a primary one, and it's put
hmm
up by others as a primary one, but it's only one of a multitude of portals into realization. So no, I see. The thing is, everybody experiences a sense of self, and it's there's a difference between experiencing a sense of self and then believing that that points to an actual self. So there's a world of difference there. So the sense of self is going to continue while ever we see things from the perspective of here, like a point of origin for the creation of whatever words and thoughts and actions and experiences. If we see that coming from a point of origin, then we've got identification happening. We've got a self. Right? But we can experience it as that being the case, whilst at the same time knowing that It's just a story that we use to describe our experience. So there'll always be a sense of self. So getting rid of the self, the actual self, eh, it'll happen. It was my experience that I had no thoughts about no self when I woke up. I had no idea. It wasn't until I went to Liberation Unleashed and they asked me about a self that I even gave any thought to a self. And it was just blatantly obvious to me that all I had was a bunch of stories, that there was
So
no.
then what was waking up for you if it wasn't that? What do you call realization?
For me, it was the experience of recognizing that any desire for things to be different than the way they already are was tantamount to insanity. And with that realization came a, a, a warm embrace and acceptance to whatever turned up, whatever turned up. And then afterwards, quite some time after that, there was the realization that I don't really know what turned up. All I know is my interpretation of that.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's only my interpretation, how does it bear any relativity to what is actual? Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. It's just my interpretation. And if you ask my wife, I've got some pretty weird ideas. So, she's my interpretations are sus for her.
Mm.
So there's no statement about what is actual there at all. There is just my interpretation. And I recognize that there was this millisecond of delay from when something actually occurred to when I became aware of it. So that put the actual thing in the past. So for me to say I don't want this is just expressing insanity. It's crazy. How can I change what's already done? It's finished. I can't change it. I have no option but to accept it or fight it. And if I fight it, I'm going to lose 100% of the time because it is what it is, isn't it? Okay, can you see how I went from being trapped in logic of accepting what had already happened to an experience of letting go, experience of softening with whatever I imagine this is. It is just what it appears to be to me. So that softening was probably the actual waking up experience for me. I put it in terms of acceptance or surrender, but that's very intellectual again. But experientially, there was definitely a softening towards whatever turned up.
And then that stayed with you. In other words, I have all kinds of insights all over my life, but then it doesn't change the entire thing. You know what I mean? Like it
Mm.
comes and
Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
so what do I aim for? Like, I don't even know. Do I aim to have some kind of shift of
Well,
understanding? Do I do inquiry? Do I do practices of
yeah.
softening and
So I'm
relaxation?
inclined
Like, what do
to
I
say,
do?
look, when they turn up, the complexity of conditions that cause them to turn up, you're just not going to know about. But when they get sent away, that's something much more tangible. So, see, now things like trust and peace, right, they don't exist as anything. They're just a way of describing the absence of their opposites. But their opposites are tangible. And so what sends away your sense of peace is much more tangible than what brought it in the first place. So I'm inclined to say if you can see, and I'll guarantee they're going to come in the form of a story for you. If you can see a story that gives anything meaning, you're on to what brings about your suffering.
Right now, I've had more quiet, but right now the jackhammer started again and the forest is hot and buggy. What do I do? What do I tell myself? How do I manage this summer? How do I manage the next few months? In other words, am I aiming to work on my life? Am I aiming to work on feeling peace despite all of this? What's my next steps? And
Well, I,
I
I,
feel like trapped.
yeah, I get it. I get it. Yeah. So I want to say I don't like what you just said about working on peace in spite of, but I
Hmm.
do recognize that that is a good start. That is a good place. So, okay, I don't like working. I don't like peace. I don't like, any of what we said, but I kind of like the possibility that it's going to lead you into a recognition of what sends away the peace. And that's going to be a story that gives meaning to it. So, okay, so it's a hot day, right? It's a hot day. What have we got? We've got a hot day. It's hot. I'm hot. That's it. But but I'm not going to survive the summer because it's hot. Well, that's a much bigger one.
I'm not at rest. I'm not at peace. What's wrong with me? Why can't I be at peace despite the jackhammer or the
Yeah,
heat?
exactly. Yeah.
Like I can't find rest, and then I start to frantically search for how to improve either my life or myself so that I can be at rest.
Mm, yeah.
Like the internal experience is not calm,
Mm,
and it's like I don't know where to go to find it because outside is hot and inside is noisy.
yeah. That's when you're in the midst of it. But when you do have those moments that we're talking about that are rather lovely, it's what ends them is where I'm pointing you to focus on. So if you start to see how the mind turns up with stories that drive out any sense of peace, then you've got something to work with to start off with. Right. If you're already in it, what can you do?
Yeah.
Be in it. Now again, recognize that even if you're in it. So here's one that I saw another thing the other day about this, and I knew about this one, and that is that the lifespan, this is neurobiology or something, what I don't know. But anyway, the lifespan of any impulse that comes, any adrenaline hit that happens as a result of being triggered, the lifespan of that is 90 seconds. 90 seconds. And if we do nothing, at the end of 90 seconds, it fades out. It's gone. We're no longer stressed. We're no longer in that heightened state. Right. But we do what we experience is that can go on for hours. Guess why? Because we keep reliving it. We keep telling our brains that we're still in it, and we relive it and we make it so that it continues. And the experience is one long thing when in fact it's a whole bunch of much smaller things added together. But so again, even if you're in the midst of that heat, being aware of the stories that turn up that about the rest of summer and whether you'll survive and all of that stuff, that's what you respond to.
What about the story? Like, I wish you guys could hear the jackhammer because I don't think any one of you can stay equanimous in the face of jackhammers. Like, how do you stay
Yeah.
when you feel like you're being pounded for hours? I guess the point is, what is my, like, do I tell myself, well, I'm gonna be annoyed and angry for the summer, and that's okay because it's noisy and hot, and just be okay with, like, I don't know what to tell myself. What stories, in
Okay,
other
so
words,
well, the first thing might be to say to yourself, what can I do about the situation? Right? You can't stop them using the jackhammers. You can't stop the day from being hot, right? So those things are out of your control, right? So you
yeah.
can't do anything about those. You can maybe remove yourself from them, go for a trip to the country or something, right? That's a possibility. But, that's a lifestyle change if you want to live it. You can't just go for the day and come back to it, right? So what can you do? Then do it. If you can't do anything, then what it's about is your attitude towards it. And so recognizing how that attitude expresses itself, not that it's an attitude that's there, not that it's a bad thing and we shouldn't be there or anything like that. How does it express itself? It expresses itself in stories about catastrophe. And if you recognize that, each time one turns up, you recognize it, it will dissolve. It won't keep going. Well, even if it does, it'll be weakened.
But also, Vince, it's a thing about what do I expect of myself in the face of these? You understand? It's like my body and mind are not calm. Like, do I use this the next 3 months as like an opportunity to, like, now I'm going to be fully at peace and my body will be relaxed despite this, and my mind will be like just in love and peace? Or is that too much expectation? Like, what am I
That's
going
perfect.
for here?
Yeah. I would say, practically speaking, you've got no idea what you can cope with because you've never been taken to the right over the edge, or it's irrelevant what you can cope with or how much you can cope with it or how you will cope with it. What you've got is this. Whatever is going on, it's this.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you've got to live with, whatever it is. So how do we train ourselves to be aware? We can't demand that awareness turn up, but we can train for it. And
Awareness of what? Of the fact
awareness
that I'm not at
of
peace and I want to be at peace?
so do you get that this awareness that we're talking about, being aware, is like part of you.
There's like a disturbance on the line or something, Vince. I don't know. I'm hearing like feedback or something.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can hear some clicking, but it doesn't bother me.
Okay.
Yeah. There's only you and me that are not muted, so it's
Mm,
one of us
okay.
perhaps. It's not happening externally here. But anyway,
Okay. I don't hear it anymore.
yeah. So this idea of what actually happens when we say awareness turned up, right? And that is that we start thinking about thinking, or thinking about seeing, or thinking about hearing, or thinking about whatever is coming in through one of the six senses. Now I'll include the mind, right? So the mind is thinking about itself. if it comes in through the mind. So if a story turns up and another thought turns up that says that story turned up, then you've got what we call awareness happening. That's, you get that one?
Yeah, but I'm aware that I'm not at peace and that my body and mind are activated. What do I do with that?
Well, yeah, okay. So that's a good example. You it's a story to say you're aware that you're not at peace. Okay, so let's forget about the you're aware part and take that as actual, factual, if you like, right? That there is awareness. You know, you're saying that you're not at peace. What the hell does that mean, right? And that's an invitation to look at the details. How do you know you're not at peace? Are you telling yourself you're not at peace, or are you actually experiencing discomfort?
Experiencing.
Yeah. So what is that experience? Don't talk about, excuse me, don't talk about it. Get into the experience. So if you're not at peace, presumably you are experiencing disturbance.
Yeah.
So how do you experience that? What is a disturbance? Without doubt, there's going to be some kind of contraction. If there's unpleasantness, there'll almost certainly be contraction somewhere in the body. And depending on where it comes from, it probably varies as to which part of the body it shows up in. Now, it might be the throat, it might be the chest, it might be breathing, it might be in the stomach, it could be, it could be the back, it could be anywhere. And where it shows up is also revealing. But the
There's a
mere,
lot of intense sensations. Yeah.
yeah, I was going to say the mere act of looking at the details of that, right? And then it becomes a description, not a story about it, but a description. And it will change as a result of that. That is really powerful stuff to bring about change.
Let's put it this way. How would an awake person get through this summer with jackhammers, neighbors, heat, bugs?
I don't know. Move away,
Mm-hmm.
put on headphones,
Yeah.
turn on the air conditioner. I don't know. I don't know. How would I do it? That's,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean,
So you wouldn't like try and meditate and become like transcend all the circumstances and like no matter what, just like lie there and try to like levitate emotionally above everything.
no, no, I'm just going to go about doing what I normally do.
So if like you like had a construction site outside your home, you think you would move. You wouldn't just sit there and try and meditate away the discomfort.
Well, it depends. I mean, I had the experience, it's a couple of months ago now, of people, a, a, a gang of people working over the road cutting down a tree, and there was machinery and chainsaws going for like 4 days in a row. I vaguely remember it as a bit annoying for a moment, but that's all.
All right, so how do I get to a place where I vaguely notice it for a moment?
Well, yeah, so the technique would be for you to wait for the appearance and then celebrate it. Make a big deal of it that it happened. See, the thing is, when you start on this stuff, that we working through what happens when you get triggered. You can get lost in an emotion really easily, especially in the beginning, and then you could almost be categorical and say the time will come when you realize that you were lost in it. It may not be while it's happening, it may be afterwards, it may be soon afterwards, or it may be hours afterwards, or it might even be the next day. But you will realize. Now, if you don't, you don't, and you don't realize that you don't because you just don't. It just doesn't happen. It's a negative. But if you do realize that you were lost in it, you celebrate that moment. My suggestion would be celebrate it with a laugh, a big, loud laugh if you're alone, or just an inward smile if you're by yourself. But make a big deal of the fact that you realized, that you recognize that you had been lost in some emotional story. And when you do that, in quite a short time, in a matter of weeks, you'll find that you'll realize things the moment they happen. You'll even realize sometimes before they happen. You'll see that it was about to happen. I've had that experience a couple of times. That's pretty a blowout, that one. So you suddenly realize that if things were to continue, you would end up lost in a story, and it's all before it happens, and it doesn't happen because you saw it. So that recognition and training that recognition to come sooner and sooner is a good one, a good technique. And it's especially good for people who like to do things. But don't beat yourself up if the idea to celebrate the recognition that you were lost doesn't happen. Well, if it doesn't happen, maybe you'll realize sometime afterward that it didn't happen. But guess what? It's happening then. So you can celebrate it.
Yeah. I guess it's just my body is screaming and then my mind starts to scream and I don't know what to do. It's screaming
Yeah.
in waves and I
Well,
just
have you ever found any way out of this before? What would you do when your body starts screaming? Take a painkiller? No?
sometimes, yeah.
What about playing the I've forgotten what your instrument is, the bass?
Um, the cello.
Cello, yeah. So what about when your body is screaming, if you were to start playing the cello, what would happen?
Yeah, no.
Mm.
Um, jackhammer and cello does not sound like a good combination right now. But
Fight.
I guess I'm just like, oh well, that's it. I just have to accept that it's going to be screaming until January. It's like,
No, no, no. So
uh,
you say that story. How do you know it's going to be screaming until January? You don't. You imagine that. You can say it's screaming now, and that could be an accurate description, right? But to say it's going to be screaming until January, no, that's rubbish. That's just a
mhm.
story that turned up. You can say, okay, that story turned up and it got me for a moment, but then I realized, how can I possibly know what's going to happen till January? I can't.
I guess it was like I was waiting for the other shoe to drop, and then I had that beautiful week, and then yesterday it was horrible in the forest, and it was just a horrible, horrible, hard day. I'm like, that's it, it's over. That's it. It's back till January. But
Mm.
yeah. So I guess it is lost in stories, but it's also the body screaming. So
Yes.
it's like
Yeah. And it's
accompanied with
the
sensation.
connection between those two is really of interest. That's what I'd like you to put your focus on for a bit. The connection between the stories and the body screaming.
But it seems logical because that's what happened last year. So how do I not believe those thoughts
Well, if you believe them, you believe them, and you recognise that you believe them, but they're still only thoughts that you believe. Do you have to? Do you have to act on them?
So then what do I change my story to? Yeah, it was really
You
painful, but
don't.
I got through it, so I'll get
You
through it
don't know.
again.
You
Like,
don't
what
need
do
to
I say?
change it. It's just a story that's there. That's it. You don't need to change it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you get? It's just a story. So also there is a statement implicit in your tone of voice, if nothing else, that it's a believable story.
Yeah.
It's a story that determines how I'm going to feel. It's a story that expresses how I feel now.
And that the weather is for sure going to make me feel worse because that's what it does when it's hot and there's no rain.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, is there any option that I'll feel okay when the air isn't clean and when it's hot and buggy and jackhammers? Like, is there any option of that?
It can happen, but I'd say, you know, it doesn't seem to be on the table for the present. Yeah.
So then
Look,
I'm doomed.
I got a water bill today. Now I've
Mm-hmm.
got three big tanks that I use to catch rainwater in, and I use that for all the toilets and for the garden watering and all that stuff. And I use rainwater that I catch. And I
Amazing.
and yet I get a water bill for $524 today. Now, I don't like that, you know, and yet it showed me that I used twice as much water this year that I used last year for the same period. And I think, oh, well, that's right. It was dry. The tanks were empty for a while. And we've had my son and his wife staying downstairs. So there's been twice as many showers every day, etc. So I have
Mm-hmm.
used a lot of water this year. I still don't like the fact that I had to shell out $524. That hurt for water. You know,
Mm.
water should be free. No, I shouldn't have to. And then I turned out $280 of that money was for sewerage, for wastewater. Okay, well, of course I'm part of the sewage system, aren't I? So I've got to pay for that as well. Bloody hell. There's no getting around it, is there? So what's my attitude? Just pay it.
Mm.
It hurts, but just pay it. So sure, you can not like the jackhammers, but just pay them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I guess maybe not to expect myself to like it. Like, I think that I want to be at a place where I'm at peace and love with everything, even
Yeah.
jackhammers and tiny flies up your ears. And maybe that won't happen right now or ever.
Well,
So,
this is really interesting stuff, Tammy. It will happen, but not in the way you now picture it.
mm-hmm.
So when you say about that, there's a ring of truth about it for me, right? But the way you imagine it, the way I imagine you imagine it, is not the way it actually will be. So it's true, but it's not true. It'll happen in a different way.
So for now, just be okay with the fact that I can't stand it and my body screams from the heat and the jackhammers and the flies, and just be okay
And
with that for
and
now.
take that homework where you
Stop catastrophizing till January.
don't stop catastrophizing. You can't control whether that happens or not. But if catastrophizing happens, recognize that it's happening.
Yeah.
Recognize the component that is added to what is actual. And that will be your story of meaning and what you predict out of it. And then that's it. You don't have to stop doing it. You just recognize that that's what happened. and that will change it. It is
Yeah,
really, really very powerful stuff.
and then it also goes into meaning about me and that I'm not there yet and what do I have to do to change myself, and that just is
Yeah.
takes over my whole life.
Yeah, well, I'm not there yet, so welcome to where I am, wherever that is. I don't know where that is. Welcome.
Australia, Vince,
I don't know
Australia.
where that is. That's a great place.
Mm,
Where fantastic buildings. I don't know where that is. Yeah, it's a tricky one. So, I mean, I've said this one to you before, to Tammy, patience. Again, you can't do it, but it's a good thing to imagine patience.
yeah, it's exactly what I'm out of right now. I'm like, I just want to be okay already. Like I want this to exponentially improve already, but
Mm.
yeah.
So, so it's a difficult one for me to kind of find a way to point to it like it's substantial, but that finding a way to have a good relationship to it is it's right there. It's right there. It's it lives within a sigh. I couldn't express it better than that. That is really, you know, if you can just bring on each time you find yourself feeling something unpleasant,
Hmm.
it will change. It is really, really, really big stuff. It's a softening.
Hmm.
It's an acceptance. It's a flowing. It's just, you get a flavor when I talk about it like this, surely. That,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just,
And accept that it's uncomfortable for me and that I don't like it and I'm not at a spiritual place that I would want to be or imagine or whatever. I'm at a place where I don't like it and that's it.
yeah,
And yeah.
yeah. Look,
All
I
right.
I can remember feeling so frustrated and so angry and intense emotions, really intense emotions. And I I am just so pleased I don't have that anymore. I mean, I have intense emotions, but not like that. That anguish that was there, as a seeker,
Mm,
looking to get and there was a God for the last 12 months of my seeking time. It was like I was walking along the edge of a cliff, and I just couldn't let myself fall off. It was just
mm.
anguish. Yeah, I get that. That. Yeah. And it can happen as easily as that, or it might just be the accumulation of a lot of little things. We just don't know. Have no idea.
And I shouldn't try and force like
You can't.
myself to do more things externally or force myself to do more practice or inquiry
No,
internally or
no,
meditation or
no,
no.
no. I say this flippantly, but seriously, you're
Mm-hmm.
already trying too hard. Stop trying so hard.
But I feel like I'm not trying hard enough, that maybe I should have
I
more
know you.
practice in
I know
my
you feel
day or
that. Yeah,
meditation or something.
yeah.
You don't think so? I shouldn't have more meditation or inquiry or stuff like that.
No,
Just let
no, not
go of
more of
the
anything. No, don't do anything.
okay.
Yeah, if you could literally do what I say and do nothing, you'd be
Mm-hmm.
there just instantly. Yeah. You don't need
Mm-hmm.
to do anything different. And whatever turns up is fine. Whatever turns up is you can imagine a crowd of people in front of you with signs, and these signs are all about Tammy. Tammy, do this. Tammy, do that. Tammy, this. Tammy, that. Tammy, Tammy, Tammy. Everyone, there's 100 people in a crowd coming towards you with these signs on it, and you can't even read them all. There's so many of them, and there's so many things they say. But that's forget it. Just stand still and let it wash over you, and everything will be wonderful.
Okay.
I know that's the biggest one. If you can just lose the idea that you can do anything to make this happen, lose that idea,
Mm,
which of course you can't do. I'm asking the impossible.
yeah,
It will happen or yeah.
but I will try. All right. Thank you, Vince. This was helpful. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Tammy. Mm. Have you been, Dom?
Yeah, I've been okay. I was using your bot this morning. You know, the
Yep.
seeking the trap. Um, I've got this film screening coming up. We've just started sending out invites. I made this little short film,
Mhm.
and it's a whole next phase of, you know, there's all this sort of concern about writing it and then like getting it together and all the anxieties around that. And then you forget there's this other phase where it's like, right now I'm going to start showing it to like all kind of people from different,
All right.
parts of my life,
How
sort of
was
thing.
it received?
Yeah, and yeah, I really first thing I noticed was when I was doing the invites, I kept skipping over to BBC Sport and which is what I do. I kind of do it to self-regulate. It's like I think of someone in my head, oh, should I invite them or how do I feel about them coming? And then I'm like, oh, just check the football. And yeah, I had quite a long chat with your bot, um, which was really, really helpful. It was really interesting. It because it was like it was asking me to sort of feel what the sensation was that I was sort of not wanting to experience that was making me sort of distract. And we boiled it down to um, this sort of slight tension and this sort of slight bracing. It and the idea was that something came that was the idea that I was bracing against some kind of attack. You know, and then we went into all kinds of like comes back to this idea of weakness. I'm putting this film out. I'm like worried about it's a film about working class man, macho man, and I'm worried about seeing it being seen as weak or middle class or pussy or like all this kind of pathetic or all this old conditioning, which is all really present in me putting myself out there and allowing myself to be seen in this way. And also is what the film is totally about. That's the whole story of the film. Um, and yeah, and it just keeps cycling around back to that sort of self-judgment about the idea of weakness. you know. And yeah, that was very sort of vivid, very strong, very
Mm.
you know, the idea of being, I've got this real, like I can remember showing it to friends and I kept saying, it's not too sentimental, is it? It's not too, I've got this thing about not being sentimental, not being over emotional, not being,
Mm.
and where it comes from is less interesting, although I've got some ideas about, I've got a hunch about probably where that's come from, where I learned that. Um, but obviously the explanations are not super useful in that
Yeah, yeah.
sense.
There are any explanations, yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I mean that all of that has been quite yeah, just quite strong this morning.
Yeah. I
And then I
find it
went off to
interesting
meet
that
my
that first phase or the first several phases are all about expression. Will I be able to express this lucidly or whatever? Uh, but this phase is about what will they think of me?
totally. Yeah. And I guess even beyond that, oh, someone at the door, just 1 second.
There you go.
Yeah, I was going to say that it's it's not just what will they think of me, it's actually um, will they see the truth about me, that I think about myself,
Right, right. That's a big one, isn't it? Yeah. And what is that truth about you?
Well, the fear is that that truth is that I am weak and
Yeah, yeah,
pathetic and
yeah.
whatever else,
And
wet or
when you
kind
say
of.
that, what's going on inside you? What's your reaction to that? That well, they will see that I am weak and pathetic and
The it makes you feel weak in a sense. Your
yeah,
body loses energy, it loses vitality. There's a sort of wanting to curl up or kind of like almost like tearfulness or something. It's like that sort of shriveling sort of feeling. You know.
yeah. So can you deduce that it's something there's some belief about its truth
Mm,
you have about you.
yeah,
You can
I
deduce
think.
that that's the case. Logically, you look at it and the whole thing is somewhat ridiculous, eh? How can you be either strong or weak? That's just ways of describing certain behavior, So is the bully strong? Is the man who wants to pick fights all the time strong? Yeah,
Yeah,
et cetera, et
that's
cetera.
right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Um,
But yet it has a deflating kind of experience that goes with those thoughts, doesn't it?
yeah, I mean, one thing I noticed just as part of this whole thing was that when obviously I've started to rehearse the occasion now, the thoughts are starting to, and like having to introduce the film and things like that, which I hate public speaking. And I've had public speaking, but any kind of like having to talk in front of people. And one of the things I noticed was it wasn't just fear of speaking, it was fear of being exposed as someone who's nervous.
Mm.
You know, in
Yeah,
other words, I'm sort of rehearsing how not to look
yeah,
nervous.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know what I
Well,
mean? I'm like,
it's
oh, that's
interesting. Yeah,
interesting.
so nervous. Let's say weak instead of nervous, but yeah, it's a verb
Yeah,
weak. Yeah, but,
exactly.
but okay. So there's the implicit thing. I'm rehearsing how to fool everybody into thinking that I'm not when I really am.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
yeah. So there is that idea is certainly plays a lot. And, you know, obviously, like you say, I can intellectually, I can go, yeah, but, you know,
yeah.
but that's irrelevant. It's sort of,
But you can see that you can feel that you can see that that some part of you believes that you are weak, even though
yes,
logically that doesn't stand up at all,
yes,
right?
that's right.
And that
Yeah.
belief causes you to have an experience,
Yes,
that
yes, and record
shred.
it causes me to act in a certain way,
Mm,
you know, to try and counteract what I
yes.
think
Yeah.
is true, you know.
So if we were to take that truth and somehow magically produce the opposite truth, well, you'd be a pain in the ass, wouldn't you? You'd be
Yeah.
overconfident and you'd be
Hmm.
aggressive and you'd be, anything but you couldn't describe
Intolerant,
it as
yeah.
weak. But yeah, yeah, all of those characteristics that we don't particularly like in somebody. Yeah. So they're both good and bad, aren't they? That's another interesting side to it.
Mm.
Yeah.
But I've noticed it sort of um without you know, the history of my relationships with women has always been a sort of battle in myself, just like I feel like they're being weak if they're, you know, this story of them being weak. And I realized that the idea that they shouldn't be weak is in some sense only important because I feel I might be weak without them being strong or something. You know what I mean? So there's a kind of, it's a projection. At the
Yeah.
same time, I notice that that's a story that runs even in my current relationship. And when
Mm,
I
mm,
first got into my current relationship, and you know, I was actually I haven't been in therapy for years. This is 10 years ago, and I sort of said to the guy, you know, like, you know, she's a bit this, she's that, and he was like, that doesn't sound sort of weak, you know. She was like, you're not, it's not congruent with what's actually going on here, you know. And I had to, one of the reasons why the relationship survived is because I could see that that story was playing, and I could see that I didn't just kind of believe it as true like I probably had in the past. Um, but yeah, it definitely happens and I can see it in my family. Like my elder sister is very intolerant of weakness, and my younger sister is hyper empathetic. So if you do it, if anything, if something happens, not like you're asking for sympathy, but if something happens and you put it on the siblings chat, or if my mother expresses any kind of neediness, you know, my eldest sister will sort of attack or like be, you know, take the piss or, you know, and my younger sister will be all deeply concerned and kind of, you know,
mm,
it's really interesting how they have the kind of opposite
mm.
response to that sort of suggestion of needing help or whatever, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
or something.
Yeah, it's interesting how you can get those different reactions to it. Yeah. So would you imagine for a moment that your sister is your elder sister, the one that is critical of it, is that way for the same reason that you have this thing about being weak?
Well, I guess that's the case, yeah. And I think it's to do with, well, like I say, I mean, I'm guessing, but you know, I was 4 years old. when my parents split up. But my dad also, he's quite intolerant. My mum, she suffered a lot through, she had 4 kids and
Yeah,
she was struggling to cope and things like that. And I think, and she came from a more middle class background, and I think, and he was very working class, and like,
mm,
so I get the feeling that he was intolerant of her. Well, I kind of know that from what she said. So I guess I was hearing that, but then also once the family had broken up and things were in crisis, then it was down to my oldest sister to step in a bit. She was only 8 years old, and I think as the boy, I probably
mm,
stepped in a bit as well. I think because we're more alike, the other two are
yeah, yeah,
sort of don't have that. Um, so I mean that's the kind of psychological explanation, I guess, but
yeah. But
it
it's
feels
involved.
possible.
It's how we learn to relate to ourselves, how we see our
Yeah,
position in the clan, how position in
yeah,
society, position in whatever. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's a tricky one, and so many people have kind of been almost railroaded into adopting a certain view of themselves, only to discover in later life that that was all a pretense, and that it's not really that way at all. Yeah.
I feel like I'm kind of going through something like that. I mean, I've always sort of had this sort of psychological story, like, oh yeah, I had too much. I took on too much responsibility when I was young, and I've always been quite responsible, and I play that role in a lot of different,
Mm, mm,
you know, and yeah, ended up being a director, and even
mm.
that, or like running my own projects, or whatever. It's like, but I think this other thing about really seeing the judgment and the fear of weakness underneath is a bit more of a recent thing, or at least seeing it so
Yeah,
clearly.
yeah. And I kind of get the feeling that, and I would hope it is the case, that you're not only seeing it, but you're seeing any judgment that comes up about it for what it is.
Yeah, yeah, because it's not just weak; it's like pathetic.
Mm,
That's the next layer. It's like not just weak; it's like weak and not that, and that's wrong. You
mm.
know, I
Yeah,
mean, weak's obviously a kind of a judgment.
yeah, it is. That's right. Yeah,
But
it's definitely right.
pathetic's a bit more contemptuous.
Yeah, yeah. We've got this society that kind of puts all of these meanings into words that we don't
Mm,
even realize until afterwards. Yeah. Yeah, so weak is definitely derogatory, whereas strong,
yeah,
no strong,
yes,
that's yeah, yeah, yeah. So the experiment continues.
yeah, yes,
Mm. And with this showing coming up, you've got multiple opportunities for seeing the old ego get involved. Mm,
yeah, yeah. I've got a month of sort of build
mm,
up to that. I mean, I think I'm hoping. Well, I don't know. My experience so far of the process of making the film and so far has been that it hasn't been as. I think when in the past when a big project came out, I was so disturbed by all of it that I was, and I was medicating with drugs and alcohol, and like just the whole thing was off the charts. So it's actually kind of,
yeah, mellowed a bit.
mm,
Mm,
yeah, yeah. So it's a lot more mellow, and this stuff is really sort of helping,
yeah.
sort of, yeah.
So I just want to highlight this for you. It's it's perfectly reasonable to feel good if somebody likes what you've done. That doesn't mean that you're having a swollen ego moment.
Mm,
You could be if you can impulsively pat yourself on the back for doing a good job. Well, that's ego. Right? But if you
mm,
can enjoy the fact that they enjoy it,
yes.
they find something good in it, and you're just enjoying that fact, it's
Mm,
no ego in that. That's
mm,
that's just pleasantness, isn't it?
yeah.
Yeah. And it's the same thing if it goes the other way. If they're critical of it, well, I mean, probably most people won't be critical to your face. But if they are critical of it, of course, again, you can't please all the people all the time. So that's
No,
just
no,
the
that's
way
right.
the way the cookie crumbled for this one, Yeah.
Mm,
So maybe they'll get what you put into it, but not likely. Maybe
yeah.
you won't get what you put into it. What was the meaning and why did you do
Mm,
this way and so
yeah.
on. It just felt good.
No,
Yeah.
that's right. That's right. Yeah, I mean, I am quite surprised how it's just kind of materialized.
Yeah. And I like that description. It materialized. Yeah. 'Cause that's what these things do. They just turn up. Yeah. Yeah, good one. Yeah. Well, I hope you win awards.
I'll send you a link at some point.
Okay, great.
And
Yeah.
it's a bit far for you.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Tom.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Now you know, Max. You're welcome to talk up at any time if you've got something to say. I'm not going to hassle you to say anything.
I, something that I'm wondering since this process started is because I hear you and some other sources um, talking about laughing and having a good laugh when we realize something and I think I became quite serious since so many things are happening in my experience. It's like, yeah, I don't want to artificially manufacture a laugh
Yeah.
to on top and be like, haha, this is fun. No, it's
Yeah.
like
Sure.
I that laugh to be authentically genuine. Like I cannot do anything about it just as much as the rest. It's and and yeah, my mind is a bit like, okay, where is it? Laughing.
Mm.
Like,
That's
now I
fine
have
too.
to find it.
Yeah. So what I was talking about with that laughing as a way of celebrating the recognition that you have been lost, it's not a bad strategy to fake it in the beginning just as a way of hallmarking that moment of realization. And after a little while, you will laugh. It will be genuine humor and spontaneous because of the discovery that happens
Hmm.
when you realize that, oh, I was lost, and you go, there I go again. So it becomes genuine humor after a while. But in the beginning, no, it's just a strategy to change the way the brain works a little bit. That's all. But yeah, I know I get what you're saying about genuine and authentic, spontaneous laughing. Yeah. But you can also, I would say this, and I don't want you to take it too seriously, but he says with a tongue in cheek that taking it seriously tells you you're doing something. I wanted to say something wrong, but you're missing the mark somewhere if you're taking it all too seriously. That's not meant to be criticism. That's just a story I have that may or may not be accurate. Who knows? And maybe it's so for some and not for others as well. But yeah, there's a but it's just me expressing my personality or something, that I look in the mirror and I look super serious and I don't feel that way, when I so for me,
Yeah,
the moment I think about this stuff, I got to start laughing. It's just humorous. It really is. The whole thing is so. Well, what a fantastic discovery! Oh, I'm so lucky to have made it. Yeah,
it's yeah, because it's also true that I look at my face often and I look serious, but inside it's not always that serious.
yeah, exactly.
And it doesn't inspire always. And yeah, like because I've noticed that I kind of stopped giving smiles, like conventional social smiles, because I was giving it because I felt obliged. I
Yeah,
felt
yeah, yeah.
like, oh, this person is giving me fake smile, so I should give fake smile. And well, I don't know if it's fake, but it looks fake to me.
Yeah,
Doesn't
yeah,
look
yeah.
genuine.
And it feels fake. Yeah, yeah. I get that.
And I don't want to do it I, if I'm scared of not doing it, I don't want to do it.
Mm,
Right?
yeah,
For a while, I kind of took the risk, and I still am sometimes, to appear cold and not nice and be in that, oh, what's wrong with you? Question, take
mm,
the risk of asking this question to me. But also part of it I see sometimes is hiding, like I hide in seriousness.
mm,
I I sometimes I think in certain contexts I refrain from showing joy
mm,
or smiling. Like it would it would picture me. I think I would be vulnerable. I don't know. It's
could be. Yeah,
yeah, like I hold on to this seriousness.
yeah.
So it's not always the same thing.
So when you use the word vulnerable,
Hmm.
would would you accept the opposite that your seriousness is a defense?
Yeah, it's.
Yeah.
I mean, it's always a defense. Sometimes it's a vulnerability, but sometimes it's a defense. Yeah.
Mm, mm,
Yeah. But this is in the context of being with a person. But when I'm on my own, yeah, this laughing thing is not it's not the same. There is no. I don't feel defending. I
mm,
just don't. It's just or it's not what I imagine it is.
mm,
Mm. Yeah, and I think I don't know, like I think there is a trust growing in me that it will find me also. Like uh, like this, like there is a decreasing interest in being worried about laughing or not laughing or joy or not joy or like it's really not about how much energy I put into that and
mm,
this I lose interest sooner I actually find it or it finds me.
Mm. Yeah. So, of course, we don't want to resist anything. So we don't want to resist that seriousness. We don't want to say it's wrong. We just recognize that there's some point to it. And if that point is a, a protection against being too vulnerable, then recognizing that is all it takes
Yeah,
for it to start to shift. Yeah.
yeah. It's, I mean, it seems that I'm kind of not using, but I am, what I recognize as a problem is like a way for me to almost look in the opposite direction. Like, okay, now it's problem about laughing and seriousness. So I am looking at laughing. So I should dive deep in seriousness, like like feel 200% of what I think is not good or what I think should be arranged, and then I will find what I thought I was looking for in a way that that I could not look for.
Mm.
I I hope it's making sense what I say. I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
I would suggest to you that looking at the opposite is going too far. It's the same thing in
Mm,
another way.
yeah.
And
Mm,
so really what we want for it is for it to be a non-event. It just
yeah.
is irrelevant. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm,
But see, I imagine, so my story of you that I imagine is that you have isolated yourself somewhat from society and the culture in general and so on.
yeah.
And that I imagine is protection.
Mm,
So the idea is not to throw open your armor and be vulnerable. It's to look at what is it that you're protecting, and what is it
mm,
that you're protecting is your identity. What
mm,
that is, well, I don't know. You probably don't know either, but it is something that you own, that you believe is yours.
mm, mm, mm,
But no hurry, no pressure. Things will clarify themselves
mm,
as they do.
yeah.
But if your attention goes to what might I be protecting, without looking for an actual answer, just look for that feeling of protection,
Mm,
caring for, looking after, hiding.
mm,
That might be one way you protect is to hide. Yeah. Just that will show itself when it's ready, when it feels not threatened, it will show itself. and you'll realize that that's just what you learned. It's not you.
Mm.
But yeah, you've got a good handle, and you've got a lot of the right tools. So yeah, and I like the way your mind works. You're very analytical, looking at what goes on. That's good. Mm. Yeah,
Yeah.
I saw a
I,
smile then for a second.
sorry.
I saw a smile there for a second.
Yeah, yeah. Good eye. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
no, no. I smile. There is, but it's the laughing thing. It's like
Mm,
I'm quite. I gave a lot of laughing for social acceptance and just fake laugh. It didn't feel good to laugh.
mm,
Felt like polite.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. I remember going through a phase of because it's so fake, I don't want anything to do with it.
Mm.
And now it's like, I'll be complicit in your fake smiles if that's what you want. I'm quite happy to do that. Yeah.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, because I am quite dedicated to practice and meditation and feeling the burn in the body.
Mm,
Like, yeah, I spend yeah, that's pretty much everything. The only thing I'm doing is feeling the burn in my body. And I don't know, it's been wonderfully transformative. I cannot even put it into words. But yeah, I couldn't imagine it would be so painful.
mm,
It's like the ceiling of my tolerance to pain is being pushed and pushed and pushed and yeah, it becomes okay.
mm,
This morning I woke up in what I would have called some years before fear and maybe anxiety or maybe even stronger words. But I woke up to it and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's nice. It's vibrating. No, nothing to say about it. I know I'm okay and
mm.
it's gonna go. I just have to feel it and that's yeah, no problem.
Excellent. Yeah.
But yeah, there is still this wondering about what what do I do in my life? Like now there is just this. Like I I wake up and I feel things and I sit with them and I there is only yeah, not only, of course, not only, it's an exaggeration because I see a few people here and there. I helped a friend to build this house and there is little things, but my focus is always on
Yeah. On this.
yeah, yeah. Like the rest is decorative. Is yeah, it's not bad, but yeah. Like I feel all the. I mean, my family is pretty worried. Like they, it's not hard to call depression on.
Well, that's the word they often come up with, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I cannot tell them anything beside that I am not as worried as I was before about it. Like I know, I imagine for them it's difficult, but I mean, I also want to, some of them, I tell them that it's an opportunity for them to look at their worry, but I feel some of them I cannot tell them beside anything. I'm okay. I am.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They don't get it. Mm.
I I I I tell them that I just go through what I'm going through, and I take care of not hurting anybody or myself,
Mm.
and I have no, if I'm honest, I have no reassurance plan for them or
No,
myself even. I I anything that would ease their situation feels like a lie to me.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I get it. But you can't tell them the truth. You can't tell them what's going on for you. They cannot get that.
Yeah,
You've
yeah.
got to talk to them in their language.
But also, I mean, if I'm honest with myself, I don't really know what to say about it.
No, that's right. Well, yep, that's perfectly
So,
reasonable. Of course you don't. How can you put this
so
into words?
yeah, so I'm like, I will not have the arrogance or the assumption that I know what's happening to tell them something that is
No,
pleasing and like,
but you do know that you're okay, and you can tell them
uh,
that. You can show them that I'm okay.
yes, but in the moment of heat and storm, I'm not always looking okay, and I'm not always saying I'm okay, and I'm not.
Mm,
I mean, I do freak out sometimes,
mm.
and
That's
I try to.
human of you.
Sorry.
That's very human of you to freak out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, of course.
yeah, and but sometimes I'm also like I realize after that I went too far, or I said things that were uh,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
I was feeding into that I'm I'm gonna lose myself, I'm going crazy, and
yeah, yeah, yeah,
you know,
yeah. Yeah, that's called
and
foot
then
and mouth disease.
yeah,
You didn't get the joke.
and I didn't hear very well.
Yeah, it's called foot in mouth disease. When you
No, I
put,
don't think I had.
it's a saying in Australia. When you put your foot in your mouth, is when you say
Ah,
something that you regret later.
okay, okay, okay. Yeah, I still not. As maybe I can reach now. The foot it became pretty flexible in the last month.
Mm,
Uh,
yeah.
Yes,
Let's
so
do that. You know, so the weird part about it is I stop expecting my wife and my daughter. My son is okay, but I stop expecting my wife and my daughter to understand what goes on for me. I recognize that their whole way of thinking doesn't lend to anything that I'm doing as what I'm actually doing, what is actually
okay.
right for me. I just accept that they can't understand.
Yeah,
They accept
yeah,
me just as I am with this tattoo saying weirdness on my forehead.
yeah. But I discovered that I am quite amazed by how saying the most honest thing I can say can transform the situation into something that is surprisingly more connected and more something I would wish for with the people that seemingly don't understand shit about what I mean. I don't understand it either, but at least I experience it. Um, so there is a bettering just by me saying the the best I can say about what I'm going through in the most simple words that I can fathom. Yeah. Even though I don't believe uh, it resonates, but somehow it it goes into the third entity that is the relationship and ease it up, like grease the machine a little. The mechanisms. Mm. But yeah, it's true that I've isolated myself very much. Just seems that I have found a well of that, right? That everything that I was looking for in the world was not really, or at least, yeah, not really satisfying in any way, temporarily for sure, and sometimes wonderful temporarily. But like I had this feeling that I always needed to fabricate it or make it happen for like for me to feel yeah, this is nice now. It's like cool experience of life and not the shitty stuff that I have to deal with all the time if I'm not putting a coin in the machine.
Mm.
And now I found like that it's yeah, like my experience is constantly being transformed by me uh, not doing much. Like I can have moments of very, very, very good moments just doing nothing. So I have little interest in so
Say
many
again.
things I had. I have little interest in so many things
Yes.
I had
Yeah.
before.
Mm.
Like yeah, now I hear, yeah, and I have a growing interest in the general thing. Like I don't really know what it's like the notion of interest is also changing. Like, before I used to be like a laser, like I have interest in one thing and I want to pursue it, and now it's like more coming to me. It's happening.
Mm. That was good, Max. That was really good getting to know you a bit. Mm.
Mm.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm going to end now. Thank you.
Thank you.